everyone, welcome back. Today I'm going to share with you my 3-card collaboration challenge with my BFF Sintang Mayumi, and we'll be using the January My Monthly Hero Kit from Hero Arts. Here I'm just showing you the contents of some of the contents of the kit, and we'll be using this one for this challenge. And here I'm just showing you that I cut multiples of all the flowers, butterflies, leaves, and greeneries, and I use Nina Solar White 80-pound cardstock. These die cuts will be used on all 3 of my cards, and I'll be using my Copic markers to color them. For card number 1, I will color all the roses, and I will be using 2 to 3 shades of red Copic markers. I will show the colors that I use across the screen. I just did some simple coloring from the lightest to the darkest, and then add some darker red highlights on the bottom and top portion of the rose using flicking motion to create some sort of dimension. And here is how it looks like. And same thing with the branches and the leaves. So I just fast forward this coloring, and then here are the roses, some of the roses that I colored. I have a light pink A2 size card panel here, and I will use the newsprint stamp from the stamp set to create my background. And of course I will use my Mini Misty for this one. And I will use my Catherine Puller ink, It's a Girl, to create a tone-on-tone background. So I will stamp this for 4 times across the panel, and I make sure that I clean the stamp in between and before I position the stamp on the panel to prevent smudging of the ink. After I stamp the last one on the top corner of my panel, I will trim this down to 4 by 5 1/4 using my Tim Holtz trimmer. Next, I have this gingham vellum paper I have in my stash, and I will use this to die cut the flower bouquet wrap using the die included in the kit. I'll be using my bone folder to fold the seams of this die cut. Then I'm gonna start placing all the colored images inside the wrap, including the greeneries and the rosebuds that I colored off cam. And I'm trying to figure out all the placement of the greeneries in the bouquet, and I just really love the look of red roses on this card. That's why I chose all red for my first card, and the pop of color is really beautiful. And I will use the sentiment "Sending My Love" for this card, and I am using a white cardstock, and I prep it with my embossing buddy. I use Versamark ink to stamp this sentiment because I will be using the Hero Arts Pink Sparkle embossing powder that's included in the kit. And I love the subtle pink color of this embossing powder. And then I will also use the die banner that's included in the kit to trim this out. And I have this jute twine from my stash, and I created a tiny ribbon for my bouquet. So now I'm ready to put all the roses and the leaves inside of my wrap, and I'm gonna be using my glitter glue for this. And here I'm just showing you that I am only putting glue on the branches of the flowers and the greenery because I want to create a little bit of dimension when I put it on the panel. I don't want it to lay flat on my card panel. So now I'm just trying to place all the elements on my panel. I'll attach the jute ribbon on top of the the wrap, and then the sentiment will be pop up with foam tape, and I'll put it across the bottom portion of the panel. But first I will also pop up the back of the bouquet, because as I've said, I don't want it flat on my panel. I'm removing the release tape, and then I'll put it on the left side of my panel. And then I will put my sentiment banner on the bottom right of my panel. I did trim a little bit on the left side of the banner, and then I pop it up with foam tape. I have an A2 size red card base here, and I'm just gonna use my glitter glue to adhere this panel on my card base. And then I'm gonna add some Studio Katya pink jewels embellishment for this card, and I just place it randomly across the panel on the left side and the upper right side of my card. I'm using my crystal katana and my glitter glue to adhere this. And finally, of course, to add a little bit shimmer, I am using my Spectrum Noir clear sparkle pen. And my first card is finished. I really love how this card turned out. The classic red roses are so pretty, and I think this is my favorite. For card number 2, I will use this blue glimmer metallic ink included in the kit to create my background. I am using a Tim Holtz watercolor paper, a paintbrush, and some water. I will wet my panel with clear water first, then paint from top to bottom, darkest on top, going lighter to the bottom, creating a blue ombre background. I will keep moving the paintbrush to distribute the ink evenly across the panel until I am satisfied with how it looks. Then I will use my heat gun to dry this panel, and then I'll set it aside so I can work on the other elements of my card. I used the mini envelope die and a piece of craft cardstock to make this cute envelope. And then I will also use the newsprint stamp to create a design on the envelope. I am using VersaFine Clear Nocturne ink and my Mini Misty. I will just rotate the envelope so I can also stamp on the blank areas of the envelope on the side and on the bottom part. And for the flowers for this card, I use yellow markers, and I will just quickly show you how I colored them using 2 to 3 yellow Copic markers. And the same with the branches and the leaves. I also use 2 to 3 colors of Copic markers. I will show the colors of the Copic markers I use across the screen. Then I'm using glitter glue to adhere the flaps of the envelope. And I'll hold this down for a few seconds to make sure it's adhered properly. And then I have this vellum piece, and I use a rectangle die from my stash, and I'm just making sure it fits. And then I'm gonna stamp sentiments on this vellum piece, and I will stamp "Hello friend, you're the best." I am using VersaFine Nocturne ink to stamp the sentiments, And I will be heat embossing this. I will be using clear embossing powder, and then I'll just melt this using my heat gun. And then I'm ready to attach this vellum to the envelope. And then here I'm just trying to figure out the placement of all the flowers and the leaves on top of my envelope. It actually took me a while to figure out the placement of the flowers and the leaves on this panel, and I keep moving the flowers or the leaves until I finally decided on their final placement. But before I adhered all the flowers and the leaves, I trimmed down my blue background using a rectangle postage die. And then I'm gonna adhere this envelope to the blue panel. I'm gonna use foam tape to add dimension. I'm removing the release tape and just adhere it on top of the ombre background. And now I'm ready to attach all the yellow flowers and the leaves. I will pop up some flowers using foam tape and some just the glitter glue and adhere it directly on the panel or on the envelope. So I sped this up because it actually took me a while to get to the final arrangement of these flowers. And then I have this A2 size white side folding card base that I'll be using. I will use my ATG gun to adhere the completed panel on this card base. I will use a tiny bit of glue behind the vellum to secure it. And for final embellishment, I will just add some clear jewels that I got from Ink Road Stamps. I will use my glitter glue and my crystal katana to adhere these jewels. And that's it for my card number 2. This card was easy to make. I just had a hard time placing all the flowers, but in the end I like how it turned out, and I really love the yellow flowers on the blue background. So this is my card number 2. For card number 3, I used the craft cardstock from the kit, and I trimmed it down to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 panel. Then I will get the 4 postage stamps from the set and will stamp them all repeatedly until it covers the entire panel. I will use Catherine Puller icing on the cake mini ink cube, and I'll make sure that I space them out evenly across the entire panel. And to color the flowers that I will be using for this card, I'll be using Copic markers V12 and V20. And then for the center of the flowers, I will use Y15 and Y17. I just colored the entire flower, the petals, with the lightest purple color, and then I'm just gonna outline the petals with the darker Copic marker color, and then I'll use some flicking motion to add a little dimension to the petals of the flowers. So I will be coloring, I think, 3 of these flowers. And now I'm using Y15 for the centers of the flowers. And also quickly color a butterfly with the same yellow color. And now I have this vellum strip that's left over from my previous card and the pink shimmer cardstock that I will be using for my sentiment. And I chose Thinking of You. And I will use my Versa Fine Clear Nocturne ink for this one. And I will emboss this with clear embossing powder. And I will use the heat gun to melt this embossing powder. And to attach the vellum strip on my cardstock, I will turn it over and then get my ATG gun, put some on the back of the cardstock and fold over the vellum strip. And then the pink sentiment strip will go on top of the vellum strip. And now the 3 flowers that I colored will go on the left side of the card panel. Once I'm happy with the arrangement of the flowers, I will use this press and seal from Glad to hold my bouquet of flowers. And then I'll turn it over and put some glitter glue on my die cut flowers. And then I'll put it back on the panel and press it firmly, and then I'll slowly peel off the press and seal wrap. And for the top flower, I will adhere some foam tape to create dimension. And then my pink sentiment strip, I will also add dimension by adding some foam tapes. And then I'll adhere it over the bouquet of flowers. And now I'm ready to put the yellow butterfly on the right side of the panel. And I'm also gonna pop this up with foam tape. And I'll put it above the sentiment. And then I'm gonna attach this finished panel to a white A2 size side folding white card base. And I'll use my ATG gun to adhere this one. And to add embellishment on my card, I will also use the Studio Katia pink jewels. And I will also add shimmer by using my Spectrum Noir clear sparkle pen. And that finishes off my card number 3. So again, here are the close-up photos of the 3 cards I made using the My Monthly Hero Kit January 2020 from Hero Arts. Thank you for taking the time out to watch my video, and I hope you like the cards I made today. And please don't forget to watch Sintang Mayumi's card collab video as well. Again, thank you for watching and see you again next time. Bye!